be spelled like that big city in Texas. And some of the best poker players in the world come out of that Houston area.
The button with John Shaw. Small blind and big blind there.
And, BE in the first here, yeah.
Been a pretty aggressive game already so far. First position, laying down ace-7.
It does feel like they've all come to gamble tonight, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Call.
Raise.
Well, John Shaw in for the
7
2,000.
total.
Dave Broadhurst was
Call.
amenable, but now a raise from the big blind.
Call.
And Jez with a king 8.
This is highly aggressive.
This is incredible. They've all got kings. Broadhurst has laid it down, and Shaw's actually got Jez pipped here, king 9 against king 8.
He couldn't possibly know that. How can he call that? How can he call with king 9? It's mince in the first place, but he has.
Well, there's one king left in the deck. It didn't hit, but Jez, as the aggressor,
5,000.
will pound.
Pass.
Well,
You
thrown
can't
a
blame
few chips in.
Yeah, you can't blame John Shaw for respecting Jez's raise. But,
I'm off. Oh, good, yeah, that's good, yeah.
Jez Bailey, he owns several clothing stores in the Midlands area, but he might be a poker player. I mean, he's off and running. We're not going to find too much tight play at this table, doesn't look like, Steve.
Well, Jez has been playing for a couple of years, plays 2 or 3 times a week. You get a lot of experience in that time. Much tournament experience, sort of small tournaments, 10s, 20s and £50 tournaments. But you do pick up a lot of tactics and awareness from playing as many tournaments as 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, and a lot of people tell you those small tournaments in the
Pass.
Midlands are some of the toughest
Pass.
tournaments in the poker world.
Pass.
If you can survive there, you can thrive anywhere.
Call.
Jez limping in here. I don't know if he's seen his hand yet.
I think what we can tell from
No raise.
this situation is that a lot of these players consider this event, you've just got to try and make the most of every chance you get. And as long as there's not too much raising, you're prepared to take a risk and hit the flop.
Well, they've both missed here. First aggression going to win?
Must
5,000.
do.
Ian Woodley, the 8 high is ahead by a long shot, but how could he know it? He's given the long look.
With that 10 and the jack on board, it's very risky to try and come
Pass.
over the top.
It would be suicidal, wouldn't it? Jez Bailey, he has put the pedal to the metal and won 2 pots in a row now with no hands at all. And I mean, how important do you think having that early chip lead is in these tournaments?
Well, as we've seen from many TV events, it doesn't always hold up. But I think one thing it does do is relax you. If you get off to a good start, if you win a couple of hands, you just chill out a bit more.
There you go, son. Wrong button. Trying to see the cards from the belt.
Another chair collapses.
They've got to do something about that chair. Ronnie O'Sullivan had a few problems in that seat last week.
He looks lower than he did to start with anyway. He hasn't got hydraulic chairs and just let the air out too quickly there.
Pass.
John Shaw calling with the ace-4 suited.
Raise.
And
5,000
once
more.
again,
7 total.
been raised, and now where does John Shaw stand?
Jez Bailey trying to make every post a winning one, and it's a big race, about 5,000.
Pass. Pass.
But if he can get a call from John Shaw here, Steve, he'll be up against the exact hand he
Call.
wants to be up on against,
he's-
which is a dominated ace.
He's calling a lot, isn't he?
Yeah, so Shaw.
Once again, where does he stand with this ace-4, with his hand? What does he do now against the bet? I mean, if he comes out betting, fair enough.
10.
Have you got a straight line down to him, Steve? Because that is a great bluff, isn't it? In fact, the 10 plays of Jez
Call.
Bailey, and he's called. He's called with nothing.
Well, he's called because he thinks he's bluffing.
This pot, 37,000 already. And pair of threes, ace, jack,
20,000.
10.
He's come to play, hasn't he?
my.
John Shaw. And he's got him to
Pass.
lay it down. Followed through. Sometimes the first bluff has got to be followed through with another bluff if you're brave enough.
tell
And he
you.
is brave enough.
He certainly is. And,
You know, mate.
you know, Steve, if you're going to play a lot of hands like calling like that, I guess you have to be prepared to
You should have
bluff.
to
And
bluff,
you can understand how John Shaw won 50,000 pounds. It was, it's the aggression that you talked about.
It's not the style of play that that your fans and friends and family want to see, because it's a heart in the mouth type of play. But there, it proved the value of representing.
Well, so far we've seen every player at this table prepared to walk a line.
In a very short space of time, everybody's tried to make their mark very early on.
Pass. Pass.
And this time he throws away
Pass.
ace-5 in early position.
a little breather.
Mixing it up a bit.
And now Fiona with the 10 high, trying to put the moves on John Houston.
Raise 8,000 more, 10 total.
And Houston is a very tough guy to push around.
Call.
Head to head here, action will be on Fiona, who's trailing.
Well, this is a totally different heat for Fiona. A different set of problems to overcome. Much more psychological outwitting going on here around the table, even though nothing's been said. But
Interesting to know if
10,000.
these other players are aware of Fiona's tendencies to bluff.
Pass.
fantastic follow through there from Fiona as well. She's holding her own very nicely.
Tell you what, you can put a lamb in a wolf in sheep's clothing, but Fiona Foster.
Quality.
My name's Fiona Foster. I've just qualified from the celebrity table, and I'm hoping to repeat my performance now. I didn't let them bully me, as I promised myself I wouldn't, and I'm not going to give up now.
No one to play with? There's always PartyPoker.com.
Played 8 hands here, Steve, and every one has had a little bit of action.
Yes, and well, the madam of the table has she's stamped her authority there, and Fiona's not to be outwitted at this table, as well as being put in the shadows by some of the trappy play early on by some of the lads, and she's in there as chip leader.
Great.
And also, she hasn't interviewed anybody yet. Wait till she starts that.
Yeah, there's been no talk at all,
I
has
know.
there?
Call. Call.
Dave Broadhurst calling with the crab salad. Jez is in. It's 2,000 around, and you have to imagine Ian will be happy to see this flop cheap.
Small pairs, cheap flop,
Call.
hit a 2.
Pass.
Very difficult to put somebody on
Call.
3 2s.
No raise.
So this is 5-way action. Only Fiona Foster taking a breather, and there's plenty of small pairs out there. Oh boy, if the flop comes deuce 3-4, this could be all over.
Not that much chance of it, but you never know. Nowhere near it. Oh, there's a marvellous hand out there lurking. John Houston
Check.
has it, and he's checked it.
Check.
It's a check raise possibly
Check.
coming up.
Yeah,
Check.
right you are. He's got the top pair and the flush draw.
You would have loved somebody to have bet there, I feel,
Check. All check.
Uh,
and he didn't fall for it.
No, Ian Woodley not wanting to.
Now a 7. Now he's going to have to bet.
10,000.
He's got a
Pass.
flush draw and top pair.
Well, that may
Pass.
end this. Jez Bailey, 10 would make him a straight, but
Pass.
not worth gambling on it, and this pot will be over.
He's a bit unlucky in a way that nobody else had any part of that flop.
I mean, it was a very reasonable check on the flop, wasn't it? A 5-way action, you have to feel someone's going to have a stab at it.
Ian Woodley's having a little think up. Does he think he's on a draw? Does he think he's on some sort of flush draw or straight draw now?
Pass.
Well, if he
Pass.
did, he still didn't put any money in. He's going to show the king
And that.
and that.
That you know, a monster, you know. Not been into a position of it. First to speak.
So John Houston taking that pot down.
Very nice.